Is that a trick question? This man was a bona fide scrub. Bona fide scrub.
This dude, I believe he's a bona fide superstar right now.
Right. Oh, well, of course, it's all about winning, baby.
Yeah. Next one up in the afternoon here for us in Australia starts at about 1:10 Australian time on Wednesday afternoon is the Golden State Warriors, my Warriors, at the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, before I have a comment on this, I want to know your thoughts, Lee. The odds here, the Warriors have been crunched in quite a bit. They were 280 about a week ago. They're into 237 on the back of an unbeaten preseason, and we know the Lakers went 0-6 in preseason. I know your thoughts. I know that you don't want to overreact to the Lakers preseason. So do you think they win this game at $1.59?
I do think they win this game. Based on it's the Kings, mind you, but what I saw enough from that Kings game with the Lakers big three to be confident in that they're getting more comfortable with each other. I've got them. I know you're a Warriors man, but do you back your Warriors?
I still think it's generous odds. I mean, just on the back of the preseason, I think it again, I've got some bias, but I think it should be 50-50. I've spoken at length about how I don't like the Westbrook fit, but this is a Lakers team that I think is still in preseason mode, that's still chilling. And the thing about the Warriors is that a lot of people have spoke about the fact they're just trying to kind of hold the fort until Clay comes back and until Wiseman comes back. Well, what I saw in preseason is not a team that is trying to hold the fort. It is a team that wants to get out of the blocks and start really well. And I think they will. I think they'll be, given their early season run, I think they'll be a minimum 8-4 after 12 games. That's just my thoughts. So this is a big one. And I just think you look at it, what does this game, or who does this game mean more for at the end of the day?
Probably
who do you think this game means?
Probably the Lakers more than anything. The 0-6 start is, I reckon, starting to creep up. And
really,
I was about to ask you, like, if you're going to pick one player and one thing you want to see from any player playing on this court today, even the younger players, who would you pick? And who's going to want to be proving something? It's only game one, mind you, but is it
from a Lakers perspective, it's Westbrook. I think. Didn't look great in preseason, plenty of turnovers, poor field goal percentage, all that jazz. Again, he just needs to prove people wrong, including me, who don't, as I said, I don't like the fit there. We'll wait and see what happens. He'll probably prove me wrong. I hope he does to some extent. Maybe just not in this game. And from a Warriors perspective, Jordan Poole, just his preseason was absolutely insane, about 22 points a game in 22 minutes. I'm looking forward to seeing if he can replicate that form across this regular season coming up, because he's now into equal favoritism for most improved player at $10
after 2 weeks.
After being $51
after
2 weeks ago. Can you actually believe that? Now, I didn't get on it, but I had a couple of mates at work that I talked into getting on Jordan Poole at $51, and they are absolutely loving the fact that he's now into equal favoritism with Michael Porter Jr., if you can believe that. Now, the funny thing is, I'm not sure if this will change at any point, but Sportsbet currently don't have a market up for Jordan Poole's points line, and because it kind of interested me the last week, the last few days. What's that line going to be set at for the opening game? And I don't know if they're going to put one up, or I don't know if they're just a bit worried about the fact, who knows, like, it wouldn't surprise me if he only scores 15. It wouldn't surprise me if he scores near on 30. Like, it depends if we get the same Jordan Poole that we saw in preseason, who knows? So there's not a line for him. There's also not a line for Draymond Green, which I found interesting because he's been shooting the ball a bit more in preseason. So I watched the Warriors a fair bit. I think they should be more around the $2.10 mark. They were at around $2.80. They've come into $2.37, and I think with good reason. The matchup I'm really looking forward to is Anthony Davis against Draymond Green. If you go back to the playing game in that first half, Draymond Green, probably the best defensive masterclass I've ever seen on Anthony Davis. AD got going in the second half. Now, we know AD is going to start at centre. We know that Kevon Looney is going to start at centre for the Golden State Warriors. I'm just interested to see how long Steve Kerr goes with Kevon Looney at centre, because I think you could be seeing a fair bit of Draymond Green small ball lineup, just so Draymond can basically handle or try and handle the force that is Anthony Davis.
I think Anthony Davis has a big year ahead of him. Obviously, with who he was and what he looked like was not the Anthony Davis we know from the 2020 NBA players specifically. So I think here's another guy who'll probably definitely want to impose himself on a game, set the tone early that this is that he's here to stay, because stories have been told for years that he just doesn't like playing center, and I think this Lakers team will have to sacrifice a lot. And what's underrated, I think, is how much he'll have to sacrifice for this team every night. We know he's injury prone, and whether he's willing to fight through little injuries here and there to be that center, because I think him at center is just a nightmare to defend. I still think there's no answer for Anthony. I'm talking about how Giannis and KD are unguardable. When AD is at full strength and firing, I think there's no answer for him. So I think it's underrated. I think it's being snuck under the rug. Just what sort of years ahead for him, I think.
Yeah, well, we'll wait and see. If he does get Draymond for a majority of the game, then it's definitely going to be a test for him to begin with. Hey, I just want to give you a little bit of value for the punters out there. And again, there's a bit of bias going on here. But the Warriors obviously being crunched in from 280 to 237, as I spoke about. The big win, little win here, you'll think I'm talking out of my backside here, but I just want to mention it. The Warriors were $8.20 to win by 11 plus points, and now into $6.95. I still think that's a little bit of value, because in my head, there's a world in which things go wrong for the Lakers. Completely wrong, as they have in the preseason. If they play like they have in the preseason, the Warriors will win by double digits. And therefore, if you think that the Lakers, this form may continue for a few more games while they're getting things sorted and that team chemistry is being built up, $6.95 for the Warriors to win 11 plus. For things that are around $7, I think it's a good bet.
I feel like I think I do agree with you. I think the Lakers will struggle early on. I think it'll take them at least a couple of months to really figure out who they are. But I think I've seen this happen too many times. My man LeBron James, where at the end of the game, the games he really wants to win, everyone just clears out and he just goes one-on-one for the rest of the whole fourth quarter. So if it gets close, I reckon he'll just do that, because you guys don't have anyone for him.
Yeah, fair. Well, two-way Wiggs, mate. I don't know. Did you see? I remember I was watching some Warriors highlights. The Warriors posted a 75-minute highlight video when there was one of the play-in tournament last season in that first quarter when they went one-on-one, and LeBron tried to put up a fadeaway and Wiggs just told him to get it out of here and blocked it out of bounds kind of thing. But on Andrew Wiggins, Steve Kerr has stated that he's not quite as well-conditioned as what they might hope. I don't know if that's got anything to do with him getting the vaccine eventually or what's going on there. But he's looked fairly... I mean, the Warriors have looked great in preseason. Andrew Wiggins has been one player that hasn't looked great. His points line right now, I think, is at 18.5. I'd be taking the unders on that. I really would. I think you're going to see Jordan Poole be the second leading scorer probably throughout the whole season, I'd say. I think Draymond might shoot the ball a little bit more. You've got guys like Otto Porter and Nemanja Bjelica coming off the bench. So 18.5 for Andrew Wiggins, I think, just seems a little bit high, because that's what he averaged around last season, and so far this season he doesn't look as good as he did last season. Total points line, 228.5. These two teams are really good defensive teams last season. I just wonder if things may change. Do you have a thought on whether you think this will be a high-scoring game, or whether you think the unders might be worth a crack?
Definitely high scoring for, I think, all games around the league. I think the adrenaline of the first week of the season is what's going to be up and about, getting everyone up and about. Who do you think is the Lakers' starting shooting guard moving forward?
Well, they've been using Kent Bazemore, haven't they?
Bazemore, I've seen him, starting.
Yeah,
but when they're fully healthy,
Ellington and I mean, Malik Monk's probably the best player to have out there, but I think he's more of a 6th, 7th man, and you might see him ending games at shooting guard as a kind of scorer. I have some issues. The question mark for me with the Lakers is, though, I spoke about it with Westbrook the other day, that this team was built, and the championship was built on an identity of defense. And I mean, that backcourt, Westbrook, and if they go with Bazemore, I mean, Steph Curry had 41 in 29 minutes against the Blazers. You talk about no one being able to guard LeBron. Is anyone there going to be able to guard Steph Curry?
No, you can't do anything like Steph Curry. He seems to do this against the Blazers. Does he hate the Blazers for some reason? Is there something like vendetta he's got against them?
You know what it is? I think it's because so many people compare Dame to him.
Yeah, I'm one
And
of
there's
them.
blokes in our... Yeah, you're one of them. And I think that is the reason. I think he hears everyone comparing Dame to him, and it's just like, no.
I got to tell you.
This bloke is not in my ballpark, and I'm going to show you why. So, Dame didn't play the other day, but I genuinely think that... I don't know if that's a thing or not, but the other thing is we always talk about the backcourt for the Blazers in Dame and CJ. I mean, who are they guarding? They're not guarding anyone, let alone Steph Curry, who's the best shooter of all time. So it's not really that surprising. But I did do a little bit of research for an article for Blue Man Hoop on the Warriors preseason. They were 20th in offense last season. They finished equal second, I should say, in points per game across the preseason, averaging 118 across the preseason with a low of just 111 and a high of 121. So they were consistently putting up between 111 and 121 points throughout the preseason. So I think with the change in roster, with the kind of change in system this season, I think you're going to see a team that is a lot more free-flowing. The system from the kind of dynasty years is back in terms of that ball movement and passing. They're throwing up three-pointers at will. They averaged 53.2 three-pointers across the preseason. Utah were next with 45. There was about a 7.5, 8 difference there in attempts, three-point attempts per game across the preseason.
And you've got probably the second best three-point shooter still to come in. So imagine if he gives 10.
And that doesn't include Klay Thompson. So this is a team that's going to chuck up three-pointers. And for that reason, I like the overs at 228.5 because I think the Warriors are going to be very good offensively. I think the Lakers are going to be good offensively, and I don't think either team is going to be as good defensively as they were last season. Anything else?